Hanse, I'm Chris Nachkete. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. It has been 10 days since an Indigenous man in British Columbia was last seen fishing in a river and then suddenly disappeared. According to Terrace RCMP, on Saturday, July 12th at around 6:45 p.m., Thomas Kelly was fishing in the Skeena River at Usk, 23 kilometers northeast of Terrace. The 46-year-old was reported to have been in the water for several minutes before family lost sight of him. The family immediately contacted RCMP, and search and rescue groups from Terrace and Kitimat were called to look for Kelly, with search parties on foot, by boat, and by helicopter. However, Kelly was not found. Shauna Kelly, the wife of Thomas, then organized private search parties as conditions on the Skeena River got worse. The family also set up a GoFundMe to help pay for the cost of hiring a private water drone operator and other search methods. Thomas is Indigenous, 170 pounds, 6'2", and has brown eyes and black hair. If anyone knows where Thomas Kelly is, you are asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers. A warning to not drink the tap water is currently in effect at the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, located about 30 kilometers southwest of London, Ontario. The water advisory impacts about 1,000 people who live in the First Nation. Leadership says the issue is caused by failing filters at the water treatment plant due to broken and aging infrastructure that can't keep up with the demand of the community. Community members are advised to not drink the water or use it for cooking, baby formula, or even brushing your teeth, and they say boiling the water will not make it safe. People can pick up water at the water treatment plant, and water deliveries are being arranged. The issue is expected to be fixed within a week. According to Chief and Council, the drinking water issue has been ongoing for almost 2 decades, with so far no solution in sight. During Canada's Premier's meeting on Monday, the Premiers pledged economic reconciliation with Indigenous people as they began discussions with First Nations, Métis and Inuit groups at a 3-day meeting in Cottage Country north of Toronto. However, chiefs say they are cautiously optimistic on what will happen next. CTV's Rachel Aiello has more.
Premiers rolled into this Muskoka resort today for their annual Summer Council of the Federation meeting. The get-together comes at a critical time.
Right now, our economy in all Canada suffers because of the uncertainty.
Canada is facing intensifying U.S. tariff pressure and a looming deadline to reach a new trade deal.
We need to be at the table, and we need to work through what is a very erratic stance coming from the President of the United States.
And premiers have come to Cottage Country looking for new ways to drive prosperity on this side of the border.
We have to diversify our trade.
And to do that, Canada needs to build.
We have to start building pipelines out west, east, north, and south. We have to unleash Canada, unleash Canadian industry, resources.
So today, premiers met with Indigenous leaders to talk about moving major new nation-building potential pipeline or mineral extraction projects forward. But their push to find a way to get to a yes faster, while still ensuring First Nations leaders are consulted, was met with some pushback.
They're pretty much set in their ways, and somehow we're supposed to believe them that things will be okay. And we're saying, we don't believe you.
It's always tough conversations, but it's so important that, that we find a different way in this country.
Where they did agree is on the need for Indigenous involvement.
We know if we want to get projects done quickly, the projects have to have strong Indigenous partnerships.
I'm saddened that it got off on a wrong foot with the federal government, but I think that's the intention of everyone around that table.
Tomorrow, Prime Minister Mark Carney will join the premiers. He's expected to brief them on how close federal officials are to securing a trade deal with U.S. President Donald Trump, and will likely face some pointed questions about what happens if an agreement isn't reached by August 1st. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Huntsville, Ontario.
Last week, we reported on a Calgary police officer who has been charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder in the deaths of Wesley Davidson and Levon Fox Wildman during a slow-speed chase. APTN's Chris Stewart spoke to Levon's mother about the new charges and the potential trial ahead.
In May of 2023, a 5-ton cube van was allegedly stolen Calgary police followed it along the Calgary streets at a slow pace. Video shows the speeds as it drove along Memorial Drive. Inside was Wesley Davidson, the driver, and Levon Fox Wildman, the passenger. In the video, you can hear several shots being fired. Both men allegedly died from the bullets of Constable Craig Stothard, a 15-year veteran. The family of Levon Fox Wildman held a memorial walk, saying Levon was killed unjustly. Last week, the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team, or ASIRT's, investigation concluded, and Constable Stothard was charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. He was quickly released on bail. Lena Wildman, Levon's mother, says she was called at work by ASIRT with the news of the charges.
It was very, very emotional for me. I had to leave from work and come home because it was too much for me. And to hear that he was being charged with second degree, like murder, it just reaffirmed what I knew from everything that I saw. It just reaffirmed that my son didn't have to die.
She doesn't understand how Constable Stothard allegedly felt threatened enough to shoot.
My son didn't even have the opportunity to show his hands and get out of the vehicle. They didn't even have any weapons. They weren't shooting back at the police or nothing. So it really hurt. And yes, there was anger. There was anger and a lot of sadness too.
Sadness that will never go away. Levon was a father of 4. She says he was a family man, kind-hearted, and a good athlete. He won his first rodeo at 6 years old.
We have to deal with a lifelong of loss. We have to deal with a lifelong of grief. It's a life-changing event. We have to deal with it.
And now the family has to prepare for a potential trial and travel from Edmonton to Calgary to do so. She is worried the trial will give the officer special treatment.
We plan to be there because I want to let him know that that's not just another Indian on the street. That's not just another homeless street person. You know, I want him to know that he had family. My son had family. I want him to know my son was loved. So I'm going to be there every appearance.
Don McLeod, Constable Stothard's lawyer, told APTN that his client maintains his innocence and intends to mount a full and vigorous defense. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
A protest was recently held in Quebec City over the weekend to denounce provincial legislation Bill 97. The bill intends to modernize the forestry regime and will split Quebec's forests into 3 zones: forest development, conservation, and multi-purpose, which the Quebec government says will balance conservation and logging. Some Indigenous activists, politicians, and those within communities impacted by Bill 97 say they were not properly consulted on the legislation. While some First Nations in Quebec have set up blockades on logging roads and sent eviction notices to forestry companies, other activists have been mobilizing protests in Montreal and Quebec City. This past weekend, a protest was held outside of Quebec's National Assembly. APTN News spoke with one of the French-speaking organizers who is from an Innu First Nation.
Je suis Péquot-Camino, donc Innu du Lac-Saint-Jean. Puis je vois comment le territoire est déjà détruit par les compagnies forestières, les autres compagnies. En tant que premier peuple, on n'a pas été consulté assez, on s'est pas fait demander. Puis, fait que c'est ça, on est là pour ça, pour montrer en fait notre désaccord face au projet de loi 97, puis demander qu'ils sont enlevés.
Hot, dry conditions over the weekend have fueled wildfire activity throughout Manitoba, and thick smoke blanketing the air isn't helping either. Kristen Hayward is with the province of Manitoba.
Definitely when there's heavy smoke, it makes it difficult for our water bombers to take off our land. They need good visibility to safely conduct their operations. It's also an issue sometimes for the helicopters, depending on how low that smoke is. So we've had challenges getting crews out to areas of the fire where we would need access through helicopter, as well as just being able to bucket using a helicopter. It has been limited by smoke as well.
The province of Manitoba says there are now currently 120 wildfires burning as of Monday morning. That's only 2 fewer than last Friday. Meantime, more than 13,000 Manitobans are currently evacuated because of the wildfires. They're occupying around 2,500 hotel rooms and 840 shelter beds. We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. And to read and watch our stories, you can go to aptnnews.ca. And you can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. We have more news after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Australia now, where on Flinders Island in Bay Strait sits a little-known place significant to not only Tasmanian and Australian history, but global history as well. It's known as Wybalenna, and it's a place of deep sorrow for the Aboriginal community. More recently, the community has been working to make it a more comfortable place to spend time and continue the truth-telling that's been happening since colonization. And this year, for the first time, NAIDOC has been marked at the site with a flag raising in what's believed to be a first. NITV's Karen Thomas reports.
For Tasmanian Aboriginal people, this is a sacred and painful place.
Wybalenna is definitely a place that conjures up a variety of feelings. It's one of great sadness. It can feel quite desolate at times, but also it's a good reminder of what my people have been through and how strong that they are.
This is literally a concentration camp, so for the old people.
A site of international significance.
It was a place that was recognised when the term genocide was penned, referring to the Tasmanian Aboriginal people.
While some Aboriginal women were taken from mainland Tasmania by sealers to other Bass Strait Islands, it's estimated as many as 300 Aboriginal people were exiled to Wybalenna on Flinders Island. They were made a false promise their stay would be temporary and they'd be returned to their homelands.
It was the place where our people were exiled to as a result of the Black War. And many of the people who were brought here died here.
There are 107 confirmed burial sites in this cemetery, with the location of many more not known. Since the late 1990s, Wybalenna has been managed by the Aboriginal Land Council of Tasmania. It can be a difficult place to visit, but there's been an effort to make it easier to spend time here for healing and truth-telling.
Making sure that there's space there for elders to come and visit, so having that accessibility and those essential services are really important for their comfort, and also for families, so that our younger generations and future generations understand that place, understand the significance of that place.
A NAIDOC flag raising held at the site this week.
It's important that we're here to take back that sense of pride at this place and honour our people.
It holds a very sad story. We need to be here to share that.
Continuing a long history of truth-telling. Karen Thomas, NITV News.
Staying in Australia, across the country, communities are marking NAIDOC Week, a time to honour First Nations history and achievements. In Logan, south of Brisbane, the community turned out in full force for a pride culture and connection. NITV's Dan Rennie reports.
A smoking ceremony kicks off festivities at the Kingston Butter Factory in Logan. Traditional performances took centre stage as thousands gathered to celebrate a vibrant day of culture, connection and pride.
You know, you come around, everyone here, you know, it doesn't matter what colour you are, you know, there's so much activity, so many people coming up and having a yarn. Yeah, it's deadly, it's really good.
The markets proved popular as locally made goods were snapped up. This year's theme, The Next Generation, Strength, Vision and Legacy, shines a light on our future leaders, while paying tribute to those who paved the way.
It's a wonderful time for us all to come together to honour and celebrate our culture and to honour all the elders that have paved the way for us here today.
People who attended today's event described how important it is to come together for NAIDOC Week and what it means to them.
Just getting together and getting family together. It's only once a year you get to see a bunch of people, especially family and friends that you don't see much. And it's good to get together and it's one.
In a place rich with history, Logan Mob showing up, showing that culture is strong. Dan Rennie, NITV News.
We now want to give you the results of last week's web poll questions. Our first question was, will you be paying attention to what First Nations leaders are saying about their summit with Prime Minister Mark Carney? 82% voted yes and 18% voted no. 2 weeks after Nahanni Fontaine was caught disparaging an American Sign Language interpreter, she apologized. Is that enough? 41% said yes and 59% said no. And our last question was, have you ever been denied boarding a domestic flight despite valid identification? Only 6% said yes and 94% said no. Thank you to everyone who voted. We will post a new set of questions this week at aptnnews.ca. And APTN Savannah Craig is up next to tell you how artificial intelligence can have an impact on the environment and people. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. St. John's 11 and rain, Charlottetown 18 and partly cloudy. Anujuak 11 and sunny there, La Grande River 17. Saint-Chauvide 19, Quebec City 21. 24 in London, Toronto 21. Wawa 20, Sudbury 19 and sunny there. Churchill 17 and partly cloudy, Thompson smoky and 15. Dauphin 17, Princess Harbor smoky there as well at 18. Regina 17, Saskatoon 11. Buffalo Narrows 12, Stony Rapids 11. Showers in Grand Prairie at 20, sunny in Fort McMurray at 20. Rain in Medicine Hat at 22, Calgary 22. 29 in Kamloops, Campbell River 23. Sandspit 19, Smithers 27. 20 in Watson Lake, Dawson 23. Fort Liard 26, Trump Lake 26. Tuktoyaktuk 15, Pawatuck 17. Baker Lake 11 in rain, Chesterfield 8 and partly cloudy. And Arctic Bay +6, Aglulik +9. It's no secret that artificial intelligence is becoming more commonly used. Just go on any social media platform to see it. However, with large language models like ChatGPT and Gemini being used to develop images or answer questions, AI can come at a cost for both the environment and people. APTN's Savannah Craig reports.
I don't have the cards right now.
This isn't what really happened at the White House when Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited U.S. President Donald Trump. But the use of artificial intelligence, or AI, is allowing for alternate realities to be imagined online. For some communities, AI is causing harm.
The biases that we as Māori, as Indigenous folk, are facing with artificial intelligence is worrying.
By Māori, with Māori, for Māori. That's how it's got to be.
Peter Hudson is a Maori philosopher and PhD candidate at the Massey University of New Zealand. His research looks at how Indigenous knowledge can develop next-generation AI.
Judges are using the predictable AIs to help with their judgment. And because we as Indigenous people are already being biased within our real lives, it's exacerbating. The artificial intelligence is now exacerbating those problems that we have in actual life and repeating the discriminational patterns that are happening in the artificial intelligence.
I came along and said, hey bro, we got to have love in that algorithm.
Hudson took part in the AI Indigenous Gathering in Montreal recently, at an event looking at how AI can address real-world needs within Indigenous communities. He says AI can learn certain biases from those that feed it information.
If the artificial intelligence has a value base of white, very rich, middle-aged men, well, then it's automatically going to be biased against, again, gender Indigenous people.
We can learn how to do things from what our ancestors did.
But he says these biases can be changed by involving Indigenous people in the further development of AI.
What we call tikanga and mātauranga, which is practices and knowledge that could be, should be enshrined in an algorithm that would then promote the cultural well-being for Māori, for me and my family.
There's not only a social impact from AI.
When the operator makes $1 billion, the environment is hit by about $2 billion.
Ibrahim Bagiri is a professor at the University of Toronto. His work looks into how to build AI ethically and responsibly. Large language models are the AI systems that platforms like ChatGPT or Gemini use.
For the data center to remain functional, it needs to reduce the heat in the data center. For every 50 messages you send, you need about half a liter of fresh water to cool the data center, right? Now, there's a huge amount of environmental impact because you need the water that could have otherwise been used for other purposes now goes to the cooling of the data center.
The AI systems that we design shouldn't and can't exist in a vacuum.
Hudson says while AI has had negative impacts on both Indigenous people and the environment, bringing Indigenous communities to the table creates both economic opportunities for these communities and implements Indigenous realities into the data that AI learns from.
By coming to conferences like this, we recognise, and we already know, that we're not siloed to our own Indigenous struggles. And there are always Indigenous struggles, and to come together as one means we have a more powerful base for leverage, for change.
Trailer Park Titans just can't win.
Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Montreal.
And that's your daytime newscast for this Tuesday. We're back again for your evening newscast in a few hours. Please join us then. From our HQ in Winnipeg, hi miigwech masicho. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next day.